This is AKASHVANI, Bengaluru. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Yuvavani. Tonight in Yuvavani, we have with us Kshitij Goyal, final year student at National Law School of India University, Bangalore. He will be telling how, during his internship, he helped lay down the guidelines to make the parliamentary library accessible to people with disabilities. These guidelines were accepted and adopted before the Parliament Library granted access to public in August 2022.
Namaskar friends. India is a land of diversity, home to people from all walks of life. However, there exists a section of society that has faced numerous challenges in accessing basic facilities and opportunities. Our Divyang brothers and sisters, persons with disabilities. Today on this national platform, I wish to discuss an issue vital for their empowerment, making our Parliament Library accessible for persons with disabilities. During my internship at the Parliament of India, I prepared a comprehensive report and it was accepted by Secretary General of Lok Sabha Shri Utpal Kumar Singh and was implemented in May 2023 by Lok Sabha Speaker Shri Om Birla. As per census figures, around 2.68 crore Indians have some form of disability. This constitutes over 2% of our population. Our constitution grants equal rights and opportunities to all the citizens, regardless of their physical or mental condition. However, the lack of accessibility has deprived millions of disabled persons from achieving their full potential, especially in the field of education. The Parliament Library houses lakhs of books, journals, documents, and rare archival materials from across centuries. Rendering this library accessible is therefore crucial to building an inclusive and equitable society. During the preparation of the report, we conducted a comprehensive assessment of the existing facilities at the Parliament Library from an accessibility perspective. The findings were quite alarming and disappointing. Firstly, the library had just one computer system designated for the persons with disability users, like the visually impaired. Even this solitary system suffered from technological issues. It ran an outdated 2018 version of the screen reading software, and the other assistive tools like OCR software didn't function properly. We also involved a visually impaired user to test the accessibility of the library's digital archives. While the website interface was lauded, major issues were identified with the digitized version of the Lok Sabha debates, provisional parliament debates, and older legislative records. The physical infrastructure within the library premises also lacked accessibility features. The elevators did not have braille buttons or audio instructions for the visually impaired. The basement section, housing a large collection of history, philosophy, and regional languages, was entirely inaccessible by wheelchair due to the lack of ramps. Even the basic amenities like accessible toilets and braille signages were missing. Sadly, a survey of the library staff revealed a lack of awareness and training regarding accessibility needs. Staff were unaware of the various categories of disabilities, the use of assistive tools like screen readers and braille displays, basic protocols for assistive disabled users, and more. The following deficiencies of the digital library were addressed to make the Parliament Library adequately accessible for the disabled users. The digital library website was updated with a set of improvements and renovations. Earlier, the web link for parliamentary committee reports of Rajya Sabha was dysfunctional. This was repaired. Also, the digitization of Lok Sabha debates, the provisional parliament debates, and the legislative council debates provided on the digital library website was improved. For these digitization efforts, the following protocol was suggested. First, the digitization unit. The formation of a digitization unit involving a set of Parliament Library personnel or alternately sourced manpower was suggested. The unit may be responsible for undertaking all digitization procedures within the fixed timelines. The second one was the document selection. Criteria was formulated regarding what documents may be selected for digitization. Texts from multiple disciplines were digitized. Emphasis was also laid on the digitization of rare vernacular texts since most didn't have any digitized copies elsewhere. The third one was audio conversion. While digitization can be a long drawn and exhaustive process, a simultaneous attempt was suggested to convert text into audio files. Audio conversion of text can sometimes require less time and resources. The Parliament Library website used to host audio speeches of only 6 prime ministers, and no audio copies of any books were available. This deficiency was also corrected. Now, coming to the recommendations for staff sensitization that we provided to enable library employees to interact with persons with disabilities, sufficient training and sensitization were suggested. The training and sensitization programs suggested were to be carried out with the support of professionals in the disability space. The training could take the form of a brief refresher course. The second recommendation that we provided was special services and personnel. A worker specifically assigned to deal with people with disabilities should work in the library. This person would be in charge of providing specific assistance that people with disabilities need, such as showing them how to print books in braille or obtaining books from an online database, among other things. They should have experience with disabilities, be highly motivated, be proficient in sign language, and have experience with disabilities. Now, coming to the infrastructure, previously the Parliament Library had no accessible infrastructure. Elevator facilities inside the Parliament Library were inaccessible. Elevators did not have any braille enabled signs or switches. The elevators were not voice enabled. The procurement of accessible elevators by the Lok Sabha Secretariat was urgently proposed. Moreover, the Parliament Library was located across 3 floors. For a wheelchair bound or similarly disabled user, while the first floor of the library was accessible via the elevator, the entire basement floor of the library, which hosts a collection of text on world history, biographies, philosophy, and text in the vernacular languages, was entirely inaccessible from within the Parliament Library. Further, the elevator only operated between the ground and the first floors. Internally, there was no means of navigation. Viable infrastructure changes were suggested to resolve this problem. Also, the washroom spaces most proximate to the Parliament Library were not disabled friendly. These washrooms had no separate junctions for disabled users. It was recommended that toilets in the wheelchair accessible bathrooms be between 15 and 20 inches tall, as this is the most convenient height for all disabled users. Higher toilet seats make it easier for attendees to lower or transfer disabled users to the bathroom. In cases where the replacement of the toilet was not feasible, thicker toilet seats could be made use of to supplement the height of the toilet. Further, support bars offer phenomenal convenience as they allow handicapped users to help themselves while getting up and moving around. While a number of these suggestions dealt more strictly with the construction related changes that were addressed through the Central Public Works Department, other basic facilitations such as the braille signs and maps was undertaken as an initiative of the Lok Sabha Secretariat. Further, the Secretariat also undertook measures to communicate and discuss proposals with the CPWD for developing accessible infrastructure in the Parliament Library and the Parliament Library building complex. These measures were particularly important given the Lok Sabha Secretariat's initiative of opening the Parliament Library to the general public. Friends, ensuring accessibility is not just about catering to the needs of the minority section. It is about upholding the fundamental rights and human dignity of millions of our countrymen and women who have been marginalized far too long. Our parliament, the temple of our democracy, must lead by example in this mission. Only when its doors are wide open for every person, regardless of their physical or mental abilities, we can truly claim to be an inclusive nation. I thank all stakeholders, including bureaucrats, civil society groups, and conscious citizens for extending their wholehearted support for this noble endeavor. This is not just about creating an accessible infrastructure, but also about fostering an accessible mindset that embraces diversity and equality.
This concludes tonight's Yuvavani. You were listening to Kshitij Goyal, final year student at National Law School of India University, Bangalore. He told about the transformation undertaken to make the Parliamentary Library accessible to people with disabilities, based on the guidelines that he had helped lay down during his internship. This program was brought to you by AKASHVANI Bengaluru.